We're back, and God Almighty, I know that J.P. Morgan, the bank, does throw in random ads sometimes, and I kind of hope one came in between as we're talking about
incredible.
It's very funny. Very funny. So. This is all of this stuff that we're talking about is what's cooking off in the background when a fuckload of rich guys, and we don't know all of the folks involved or who they were. We'll talk about why near the end of this. But obviously, some of them are J.P. Morgan. Like, William Randolph Hearst is almost certainly a part of it. There's a good chance Henry Ford was, but we don't know exactly who was involved. We know some of the people, though, including George H.W. Bush's dad. So at any rate, this cabal of financiers and rich guys pick a couple of patsies to do the grunt work because they decide, okay, the very wealthiest men are like, okay, we need to find a way to take power and we need to do it stealthily because Americans won't stand for an open fascist coup. So we're going to need, they pick a couple of guys to kind of do the grunt work of actually organizing this fascist coup. And the dudes they pick are Gerald C. McGuire and Bob Doyle. And these guys are bond salesmen, right? They're stock traders, essentially.
All right.
And they're both veterans.
Imaginary money again.
Yeah, they're imaginary money guys. And they're both members of the American Legion, which had been established to support veterans' rights and activities. And they're both vets, which is not a lot of people are vets. World War I's just ended. So these guys, like these rich dudes, some of whom had also been veterans, had watched what had happened with the bonus army in D.C. They'd seen tens of thousands of veterans march on Washington. And obviously, they hadn't supported those guys getting any money because it would have meant taxing rich people. But they thought there was potential in having tens of thousands of combat-hardened men march on the Capitol. And they basically started saying to themselves, what if we could harness that kind of force and put it under the control of a guy that we control and they trust? Maybe we could overthrow the government.
Whoa.
And Americans wouldn't be because they'd say, oh, these are our vets, they're coming in to fix things,
Yeah, well, they're we support our troops.
Yeah, exactly. It's a good idea,
Yeah.
You're going to overthrow. So obviously, they're looking at who can we put in control of tens of thousands, even hundreds of thousands of veterans who will be easy for us to control, but also who everyone respects and loves and who no one's going to accuse of any ulterior motives.
Oh my God, who is it?
Well, it's the perfect soldier of empire, the greatest imperial warrior who ever existed, retired General Smedley Butler. They're like, this is the guy who can do it. And they look at all of these wars that we profited from, that we got America into to make money. He fought in and ran things. Like he's already done this for us. He's perfect,
Damn.
Yeah. So I'm going to quote a write-up by Arcadia Publishing for what happens next. Yeah. Okay. He's obviously he's who you go with. Quote, during their first meeting with Butler, McGuire and Doyle asked the Major General to speak at a Legion convention in Chicago, claiming they wanted to point out the various problems with the Legion's leadership. Butler was at first open to this idea, knowing that the Legion had several administrative issues that ultimately compromised veteran benefits. So they're like, hey, the Legion's having a voting convention to vote on its leaders. We are also vets, and obviously you're the guy we respect the most. Would you give a speech about some of the problems our organization is having? And he's like, sure. Seems like a reasonable thing to do. He's always going to try to help out soldiers when he can.
For fun,
but then
profit.
As he kind of looks through the speech that they've written, he realizes that it says almost nothing about the American Legion leadership, and is instead entirely about the gold standard and about how the government needs to go back to the gold standard.
Oh, dog!
Okay, this one's not coming.
Yo, I had to clap for that because I'm like, that is a juke. That is a really good juke.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a zag. And Smedley's like, wait a second. What? I thought you wanted me to help get the American Legion working better. Why the fuck do I care about the gold standard?
What the hell I care about that? Yeah.
Yeah. So they were like, basically, what was the actual case here is that all of these bankers were scared that they had gold-backed loans from the government that weren't going to be paid back in full by the president. And, they also kind of wanted to get Butler used to working for them as their agent.
Things really went to shit while you were gone.
There's a couple of things going on here.
Yo, that is textbook rich guy, man.
Very textbook rich guy.
Like, just right on the nose.
And what they don't realize about Butler is that he's not the perfect imperial soldier anymore. By this point, he's become a socialist. And he doesn't bite. He actually thought McGuire might be mentally ill because what the guy was suggesting seemed so strange to him. And Butler's impression of McGuire didn't change over the next few months because the stockbroker keeps approaching the old general with new requests to address the American Legion for really incoherent what seems to Butler incoherent reasons.
Okay.
And so in August of 1933, Butler and McGuire meet again. And by this point, Butler had started to realize that McGuire was working for someone. He starts to piece together, there's a through line for all these weird things he's asking me to do. There's got to be someone pulling the strings behind this. Now, because McGuire was the kind of guy who only valued money, he saw Butler's reticence and decided that, like, oh, he's not suspicious because I'm asking him to do weird things. He wants to know that I have backing. So he basically flashes a huge pile of cash in Butler's face.
So rich guy only thinks that everybody thinks like rich guys.
Yeah.
Got it.
Butler's like, it's weird that you keep asking me to make all of these bizarre political addresses to the American Legion. And McGuire's like, hey, I got $100,000.
Great. Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah.
But what are you talking about, though?
Yeah. And this actually makes Butler more suspicious because in his mind, no honest man has access to $100,000.
Keep it real, but like, I'm not supposed to like you, bro, but like, dang, that's a great answer. It's like, what?
Well, he's changed at this point. Butler's, he goes through a very satisfying evolution.
Bathtub games.
So McGuire admits that he has a backer. He says, like, yeah, I work as a bond salesman for Grayson Murphy, who's a wealthy Wall Street financier who'd also been a colonel during World War I. But not like a real, like he
Okay, I'll pause it so we can talk about chess. When the pressure is off, all kinds of amazing stuff can happen. Yeah, you just keep trying. Thanks, Salvation. G and G. And thank you, Eigen, for the gift sub. My goodness. Yeah, okay. So apparently fine opening-ish. Good idea. Very good idea. Oh, Lentil just got a good stretch, too. Oh. Opening looks good. Yeah. Fall apart in the middle. Feel like shit. Contemplate, resign. Play on. Make lemonade. Make lemonade out of those lemons.